Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com's Saturday card on April the 8th, and a huge day of racing. 5 graded stakes, 3 of them grade 1s on the Saturday card. I'm Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting, and we're going to look at the stakes races and also talk about the Bluegrass Big Apple Pick 4, which incorporates 2 of the stakes races here at Keeneland with 2 in New York, including the Wood Memorial. Big day for Derby preps. The Toyota Bluegrass, the Wood, and the Santa Anita Derby all scheduled on Saturday. So, Jim, let's start with the All-Stakes Pick 4 at Keeneland on Saturday. It begins in the 7th race with the Grade 3 Commonwealth, and these are just great betting races, big fields. Who'd you like in the Commonwealth?
Yeah, we got a problem because we've got so many horsemen here on the grounds, because you look at these, the quality of the fields and the number of the fields. All our big stakes races got, 10, 13, 14. So nice problem to have because it's a great betting card. In the Commonwealth, I think Ready for Rye ran big in the Gulfstream Park Sprint off a 5-month layoff. Kind of got taken out of his normal spot by Bobble at the start. He likes the lead, so I think he's got a big shot in here with Castellano. Castellano could have a really big day today. Holy Boss, the 9, can't beat Run Happy and has run behind him 3 times, but Run Happy's not here, unfortunately. So the only non-100 buyer in the last 5 was on a sloppy track, and I don't think we're going to get a sloppy track. They're calling for a little bit of rain on Friday. Going to be cold, but I think it'll be a fast track. So I think he's got a real shot. And Phoenix was his only. He only lost the Bluegrass Sprint by 3.5, and he hit a sloppy track in last year's Phoenix here at Keeneland. So he's run here well, and I think Holy Boss has a real shot with Giroux. Amy's Flatter, the 6, is 2 for 2 at the distance, and Barbados is my 4th choice. He likes it here, the 10 horse, and he ran a good second to Run Happy in the Phoenix last fall on that sloppy track. Barbados would be my 4th choice. I would take Ready for Rye on top, and I would use all 4 of those horses in the pick 4.
I'm going to take one you didn't mention, and it's going to be that kind of day, is My Loot for Pletcher. And Pletcher got this horse last year, and don't know if they ever figured out what was his best way to go. But as I look at his races, 2 of his best speed figures have been in one-turn sprints. And they're starting him out here, so I'm wondering if maybe they've decided that that's who this horse is. He's a late-running one-turn sprinter at 7 furlongs or a mile. And I'm going to take a shot at getting a little bit of a price on My Loot for that reason. But Ready for Rye I like. He's Flatter. And this is kind of as many of these as you can afford to use. Viva Majorca, I think with a lot of speed in here, could come running late and get them. And then Holy Boss and Barbados. So I like all 6 of those horses. My Loot is the win pick for me, and use him with as many of those as you can afford in exactas and in the pick 4. 8th race is the Shakertown, grade 2 on the turf at 5.5 furlongs. And I went to undrafted, and I'm not real confident about it. I think he's a really nice horse, but he has never gotten there yet. I think he's ideally be like a 6.5 furlong sprinter, but they're mostly at 5 and 5.5. But some of this horse's best races, this horse's best races have been with John Velasquez in the saddle, and Johnny V signs on to ride. So I like that. I like there's a lot of speed, so if he's going to get there, this might be the day with the speed to set it up. So I'm going to take undrafted, but I like his stablemate, The Great War, for Wesley Ward. Power Alert had a clunker here last year, but came back and ran huge on Derby weekend at Louisville, so a lot of class there. And then I could take a stand with those 3 in the pick 4, and if you wanted to go a little deeper, Something Extras run well at Keeneland, so I would consider that one. Bye Bye Bernie's the other one I liked a little bit. How about you?
Well, you're going to hear a lot from us today in how many you can afford, because it's really hard to narrow these races down. And what I saw in this race, though, I am going to try to narrow it down simply because of the flow of the race. And the horses, a couple of horses that you mentioned, Power Alert in particular, I think has a real shot. But he's compromised by the one hole. Leparoux has to send him, and there is a ton of speed in here. There's no way he gets an easy lead. Something Extra, the 4, American Sailor, the 5, Rocket Heat, the 7, even Latent Revenge, the 2, right next to Power Alert, although he doesn't have the class, is going to go with him. So I don't think somebody on the lead is going to win this race. So for that reason, even though I really like Power Alert and I like Rocket Heat, I'm going to take Summation Time, the 3 with Castellano. Looks like he can set a tracking trip behind those 2 speed horses. He's got to come from out of it. He's got a chance of getting some traffic problems in a 5.5 furlong sprint. But I think he's got the right running style to run down the speed in a 5.5 furlong. 5 furlong, I probably wouldn't go with him, but I think I'm going to go with him in 5.5. I would also think that Bye Bye Birdie has the same profile. Bye Bye Bernie is even going to sit outside in the 8 hole, and he's very consistent on the poly track and the turf. And I think that Neartic at Woodbine a couple of races back it was a 6 furlong turf sprint. He got up at the wire at 22-1. Giroux takes the mount, and I think Brendan Walsh is a great trainer, and I think Bye Bye Bernie also fits the profile. So I'm going to take those 2. If you go deep in the pick 4, I would use those 2 plus something extra. The 4 has been really off form lately, but was over his head in the Breeders' Cup turf filly and sprint or turf sprint, and go back a few times in Shakertown. He won it last year, so I think that you got to look at something extra, and then you also have to put in a couple of horses that you talked about. Undrafted has a real shot, but he just doesn't like to win. I think it's too short for him. And the last horse that I would put in would be Bye Bye Bernie. So I would use 5 horses here if I had enough money: 1, 3, 4, 7, and 8.
9th race is the Grade 1 Madison, and this is like a Breeders' Cup race.
It is. Yeah.
So it's the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint in April. And you've got the horse that actually won that race at Keeneland last fall, Wavell Avenue, in here. You got the horse that won the Breeders' Cup Distaff the day before and stopped charging Maria. You've got Cavorting, Enchanting Lady. It's just a fantastic, fantastic race. 7 furlongs. So it's a little longer than a sprint, shorter than a route. So it's a great test. And how did you sort it out?
Very unusual to have that many Grade 1s. We got 5 Grade 1 winners, and you got the 2 winners of the distaff and the sprint. Bring those 2, I thought this isn't a mile and an eighth. I'd take Sheer Drama at a mile and an eighth,
Stop Charging Maria.
Stop Charging Maria. It's on the outside, so I didn't get to her. So I'm sorry. Stop Charging Maria won the distaff last year. I do think she's got a shot here, but I think that Wavell Avenue, the winner of the sprint, has an edge because she won over the turf, over the surface, and this distance of 7 furlong seems to fit her like a glove. So I think Wavell Avenue would be my top choice, but it's certainly not a race that you can take a stand in because all the horses, you can't throw out very much here. So I think Wavell Avenue could make it 2 in a row. Been working great at Palm Meadows. Leigh Peru and Chad Brown, all those angles turn out really well. Bird at the Wire is 2 for 2 at the distance. Tends to have trouble early, so I'm kind of worried about that, but she'll be rolling late. Cavorting the 1 had a shot in the Filly Mare Sprint. Had no shot from the 13 hole, but went off as a favorite. So that tells you how good Cavorting is, because even though she was stuck in the 13 and didn't get a good trip and wound up getting beat by 3 3/4, 13 hole makes a big difference at this racetrack. Stop Charging Maria is the reigning BC Distaff champ. Only lost about half a length, but she's compromised by post position this time. And the other one I'll throw in there with the 5 Grade 1s that I mentioned is Sunday Rules, the 4. Lots of speed, West Coast shipper. She's kind of taking a shot. Phil D'Amato ships her in here against a really tough crowd, but she may get the lead here. So I think that she's got an outside shot at a price. So if I could afford it, I would go 6 deep in here with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12.
This is it's the kind of day it is. I'm going to single a horse that you didn't even mention. It's that kind of day. And the reason I'm going to single Enchanting Lady for Baffert, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the reason I'm going to single is on a day like this, I mean, I look at these other races, all these races really, and it's just hard to narrow it down, even to 2. So when I face a day like that, if I want to play a pick 4 ticket, I'm not going to spend, $500 on it. So to make it manageable, I pick a spot and single somebody and just live or die with that one. That my ticket's going to be dead there, or I've got a great shot because I'm going to have enough spreading in the other races. So Enchanting Lady, I think, is a really talented filly. We started to see that last spring, and then something happened. But for this race to be this tough, And Baffert doesn't ship in here a lot, and he ships this horse in here, and she's working great. Just on that angle, I'm going to single Enchanting Lady. The other ones I like, Cavorting, Wavell Avenue, you mentioned both of those. And again, just you got to narrow it down somewhere. I would use Bird at the Wire just because I think they're finally finding the right spot for her, which is being a one-turn sprinter. And then Super Majesty's the other one that I'm going to use around Enchanting Lady and Exactas. But for the purposes of the pick four, I'm just going to take a stand on for this pick four, Enchanting Lady. Actually, the Big Apple Bluegrass pick four, I could spread out a little bit more with the way I'm going to structure that ticket. But for this one, the All Stakes pick four at Keeneland, I'm going to single Enchanting Lady. Grade 1 Toyota Bluegrass Stakes is the wrap-up to the All Stakes pick four. And I started to go to Brody's Cause because I'm just going to think that was a throwout race down in Tampa. But then I started to go to Zulu because I think that's a really talented horse and it's going to be on the front end most likely. And then I went and looked at – I saw that 99 speed figure for Donegal Moon, and it's several points better than anybody else in the race has ever run. So I went and looked at the race for Donegal Moon, and I don't know what he beat, but, man, he looked impressive. So I'm going to take a shot at an upset with Donegal Moon off that 99 buyer and an allowance win. A horse won here at Keeneland, so he likes the track. He's had 3 good works. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot there with Donegal Moon for Pletcher, using with Zulu, Brody's Cause, and Star Hill. It's got a bad post, but I think it's a really talented horse for Rusty Arnold, and I want to use all 4 of those in the pick 4. How about you?
Well, this one is tough. I think the Bluegrass, if you look at the class of the horses and the form, to me Zulu stands out, but I don't know that he's that much. I don't know that he's ready to take this step. And the race with 14 horses in here, and you can make a case for a lot of others. If I were playing the others deep and I went deep into Madison, I could probably be talked into taking a stand with Zulu, and perhaps another horse I like that you didn't mention that's really getting better right now is Cherry Wine for Dale Romans. Corey Lannery takes this one. Corey had some issues with Mo Tom in the Louisiana Derby, so he rode this one in the Rebel and got off to a terrible start and split foes at the top of the stretch and wound up getting beat by 5-6 lengths to Cupid. And they were really high on Cherry Wine that day. Went off at 7-1, so I think Cherry Wine has a lot of upside. So if I were looking at a ticket that I was getting not very deep here, I would use Cherry Wine and Zulu, the 3-4. If I'm going to go and single the Shakertown, which is what I'm planning on doing, I would go 6 or 7 deep here, and I would use Donegal Moon. I like the last race as well, even though it was at Parks and against State Breds. So, but he did look good, and he looks like he's coming into the race very well. I would use Cherry Wine the 3, Zulu the 4. I would throw in Brody's Cause because you can just draw a line through the Tampa Derby. I don't think you like the track. The 7-horse Leoban is intriguing to me, especially as Chagall runs good in the Wood Memorial. I think you take another shot at him because he ran right behind him in the Gotham. There's another horse here that's going to be a big shot for Greg Foley, Zapparini. They scratched him out of the Louisiana Derby, and he's came here. He doesn't look like he fits on numbers, but I just have a feeling that Foley's got this guy ready. And the other horse is My Man Sam, the 14 for Chad Brown. Everybody's kind of overlooking him. But again, if Matt King Cole runs well in the Wood Memorial, you might take a look at him because he ran 1 length behind him, and they brought him here instead of keeping him at Aqueduct. So I would go in a big ticket, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 12, 14.
And then we also want to take a look at the 2 stakes races from New York. I guess we should do our all stakes pick 4. And my ticket, I would use the 6 horses I mentioned in the Commonwealth. I would use all 5 of the horses I mentioned in the Shakertown, Enchanting Lady, and then the 4 I mentioned in the Bluegrass. And if your budget permits you to add 1 more in the Bluegrass, Cherry Wine would have been my next one, the 3. How about you?
Oh, you do like my horse. Okay.
I do.
All right.
Just ran out of money.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, I'm going to take a stand in the Shakertown. So I'm going to use 4 horses in the Commonwealth, the 2, 6, 9, 10. Top choice there would probably be the 2 Ready for Rye, but I got to use the 9 with the Shrew. I think that's his best shot at a win on Saturday. I'm going to single the Castellano horse, Summation Time, the 3, and the Shakertown, and just hope that race falls apart and Castellano runs right up the inside and takes it. I would go 6 deep In the Madison, I'd like to go 13 deep in there, but all the inside horses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, and I'm using the 5 grade ones plus Sunday rules. And then in the Bluegrass, that winds up costing you, that 6 times 4 is 24, so $12 for 50 cents times ever how many you can afford in the Bluegrass. And I've got 7 in there. So that's $84. So I would use the 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 12, 14. Cherry Wine and Zulu would be my top picks in the Bluegrass.
Jim, before we move on, we should mention the Grade 1 Central Bank Ashland, which is the 6th race. It's not in the All-Stakes Pick 4 or the late Pick 4 because there's only a field of 5, and it is part of the Pick 5, so you can include it in a Pick 5 wager if you like. It's a small field, but a really good field. Some really top-notch fillies lining up for the Central Bank Ashland. Could you narrow it down to one?
Yeah, it starts with Catherine Sophia for John Service, and she's been just a freak this spring. She ran last fall at Parks and Laurel and won by 12 and by 16, and everybody was thinking, well, who'd she beat up there? Then she comes to Gulfstream in a 7-furlong stakes, the Forward Gal, and wins by 5.5, and then she wins a mile Devona Dale by 7. So she looks like the East Coast competition to Songbird, and it sets up for an absolutely fascinating Kentucky Oaks in a few weeks. So she's going to be the big favorite here, but there's 2 others in here that you can make a case for. Rachel's Valentina, Rachel Alexandra's daughter, ran the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies here and got beat by 5 3/4 to Songbird. As you have seen in other races, horses that ran behind Songbird are certainly not embarrassed at all because they come back and beat everybody else. So I think Rachel's Valentina, the only thing, she has not been out since October. And then Karina Mia, I'm sorry, I have a hard time with that. Karina Mia doesn't fit very well, but won the Goldenrod last year in Churchill on a sloppy track at a mile and 16th, and she's won 2 out of 3. Again, she's been out since November. So I think Catherine Sophia, with her style, with her back class, and with her recency, is the favorite here. But Rachel's Valentina and Karina Mia make it an interesting race. I would take Catherine Sophia as the favorite, and I would probably single her if I were playing a pick 5.
Yeah, I would do the same. Yeah, she hadn't been around 2 turns, so you got that question. But then the other 2 leading contenders haven't been out this year. So just some interesting angles, and really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds. And if Catherine Sophia beats these fillies impressively, like she's been doing down in Florida, then boy, what a fun storyline that sets up for the Kentucky Oaks, as you mentioned. So Catherine Sophia would be my pick as well in the Grade 1 Central Bank Ashland. And let's talk about the 2 stakes races at Aqueduct that are part of the Bluegrass Big Apple Pick 4. The 9th is the Grade 3 Bayshore. I took Awesome Gent in there. I think it's 2 horses. Awesome Gent or Unified. Awesome Gent has a little more experience, so I went with him, the 4. But Unified looks really good too. I think one of those 2 wins the Bayshore. How about you?
I went a little deeper there. I like Awesome Speed. Took a shot in the Fountain of Youth, but appears to be a better sprinter, so they're starting him back up. And Unified had a 99 buyer last out, so that would be my top 2. That would be my top 2 choices. Awesome Gent would be my 3rd choice. I also had a 99 buyer. It's on a 3-race win streak. But the other horse that I kind of like in here is a horse that they tried in the Juvenile last year, and they're shortening him up, is Cocked and Loaded. I really like the way he's working. I've always liked this horse, and I think that he's got a shot here. He's got to step it up, and he's been off since the Juvenile, but he's training well. They've got 4 bullet works in a row at Tampa, and then they took him to Hawthorne, and now they shipped him to New York. So Larry Ravelli gets him ready, and I think Cocked and Loaded has a shot here. So I would go 4 deep with the 2, 4, 5, 6.
And what about the Grade 1 Wood Memorial in New York?
The Wood Memorial is a nice race. I think Shaggoff, if you're looking to single, he's going to be the likely favorite because he's won everything he's tried. So Shadwell has another good one. That's a surprise. And, Chad and Irad Ortiz, the horse is very versatile. So if I were taking a stand in that pick 4, I would probably single Shaggoff. But the other 2 that I like, Outwork, the 8, he didn't fold when Destin came running to him in the Tampa Bay Derby. He fought him all the way to the wire and got beat by a length. And Matt King Cole, the 6, great speed figures, but this is an awfully big class jump to a Grade 1 off an optional claiming win. So, again, if he wins this race or runs well, take a really close look at my man Sam in the Bluegrass, because I think that flatters my man Sam if Matt King Cole runs big in the wood.
For a pick, I took Matt King Cole just because I think maybe he has the speed to control this and working lights out. But for the purposes of the Bluegrass Big Apple pick 4, I'm using Awesome Gent and Unified in the first leg. In the Madison, I'm going to use the An Enchanting Lady plus Cavorting Wavell Avenue and Super Majesty. And then in the wood, I'm going to use Matt King Cole, Shaggoff, and Outwork. And then the 4 I mentioned in the Bluegrass, and if your budget allows, go to a 5th one and add Cherry Wine. How about you?
Yeah, for this one, I think I'm going to take a stand in the Bluegrass at the end. I'm going to use, in the Bayshore, I would use all 4 of those, the 2, 4, 5, 6 in the Madison. I'd probably stick with the horses that I picked in the other pick 4, and that'd be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12. The Wood Memorial, I would probably stick with Shaggoff and Matt King Cole, so 2 deep, and then take a stand with Zulu and Cherry Wine, the 3, 4 in the Bluegrass, and hope you get a price on one of the earlier races.
Don't forget simulcasting at the Red Mile if you can't get out to Keeneland here in the Lexington market. And for Saturday, the Bluegrass Big Apple Pick 4, if you bet on that through Keeneland Select, you have a chance to get 25,000 bonus points. Now, it's hit it and split it, so if 2 of you get the win on the pick 4, then you split the points, and 3 of you, so forth. But chance, if you're the only one, to get 25,000 bonus points. So, but you have to wager through Keeneland Select to take advantage of that. So KeenelandSelect.com, Red Mile for simulcasting if you can't get out to the track, and then just take advantage of a great, great day of racing at Keeneland. And we'll wish you best of luck with your wagers. We'll be back next week with another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.